All right, with the hour being after 7, May 1st, with a quorum, first item is minutes.
Listen to me, they're not ready.
Minutes are not ready. All right, so you want to vote on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Not ready. All right. Next one. So we gotta wait a couple minutes. We'll do Portland. And we got something on that?
I do, somewhere.
All right, from Jim Thomas, Park Cemetery, Forestry, Pine Acres. And he says the trees on Portland Way look good, all set. So that means, I guess all the trees are in there. So that was just confirmation we're waiting for.
So I can release that? I can release that?
Sure. Should we do Optima now or wait till later?
I do know. Yeah,
We did it later,
that's okay.
keep them out of trouble. All right, this is Optima, this is the, what do we call it, the hotel?
I only have 3.
And town clerk has said there's been new appeals. It's been a long time, so, yeah, we did this on February 20th. Now here's May 1st, so, all right, what took so long?
We had to get all of Carl's comments satisfied.
Oh, do we have anything from Mr. Baldo? Kate say, did Kyle say this all set?
Yep, he did.
All right, we will trust Kate on that.
Okay.
All right, make a motion to endorse site plans for 900 Providence Highway.
Second.
There's a second from Kate. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now, I'm gonna caution everybody, we gotta, all right, lady, sign on the Walpole. Sharon, we're not, don't sign that.
Really?
We got a Sharon
Did
block
you
there
notice he
too.
addressed me? Yep. Thank you, Jack.
Always do that to the bond, I mean, the,
Oh, what's that?
yeah.
I did notice that.
Oh, great, now we gotta go find them, Phil. Oh, Mr. Mackey, geez, they're all over. Uh-oh. This one here.
Oh, that's a good.
Oh, look at that. That one of them's gonna be in the right place. with that
Have I ever, signed them wrong? Could you tell me?
one. You're getting paranoid. What's the date I forgot to, Kate?
You sure I can do that correctly?
Well, I'm giving you. They don't sign the whites.
See if you care.
Which one?
So that's the last one, the other two don't have any.
Okay.
Alon Street? You don't have an Alon Street. You have an Alton Street.
Ah, that's the Sharon people, they don't know. We don't care. This is the last one. Big dig over yet?
Again?
Big dig over yet?
Yes.
All done.
I'm not sure.
Still gotta clean up the main portion of my.
What?
Remember that when you said the Rome and Maine? I still gotta clean that up, but otherwise
You're
it's
not
done.
bringing them on.
Well, I tell you what, good thing you used granite instead of like pressure treated, but it would have rotted by now. How many years?
12?
Is it? No. It started 12 years ago? They're working now.
I don't know his name. If
Good to
there
be
is.
done.
Now we gotta build the garage.
Yes,
Are you gonna? You got connected?
probably.
Full or just like a?
Probably a breezeway, I don't know.
That will be,
Yes. We'll be well into the second half of the second decade.
I say the Cumberland Farms hot dog is awful. Yes.
Did you really have
Yes,
another
it
one?
was like, why am I eating this? Normally, no.
I guess this is a.
I told you, I'll put peanut butter and jelly.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have that.
You could, what do you mean they don't have it there? You take a piece of bread, you take some peanut butter.
Wait, we're gonna stand there with the rest of the guys, the landscapers, and
No, I'm saying at home.
I wasn't at home, I was on my way. Besides, no one was at
Oh,
home.
this one's okay.
Got busy,
Oh,
right?
boy, you're not capable of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Let's stop, stop.
She was pretty big. It's funny, all the tenants we work together, that's amazing. You on TV?
Yes.
Good. Couldn't trust Nadine to do this?
She's working.
You're working, old man.
I took the fun one.
What?
I took the fun one.
Is this you, or is that for plans?
That goes with,
Or are they gonna start, you know?
I don't, honestly. I'm assuming a couple of months, but I don't.
This guy's gotta sell the land now, right? Isn't he out?
Almost.
But he isn't doing any of this, like, he's just a landowner?
Well, he was originally going to. Now, I think he's selling the whole thing.
These have no signature.
That's, I'm kind of watching it spin at this point.
Oh, and Applebee's too?
Yeah, the whole thing, Bank Applebee's, like the whole complex.
I thought those, didn't they say Chase would be owned?
Mm-hmm.
So what are they, like condo setup?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes. It's 5 condos.
Offices?
No, you know how they were outbuildings? They were pads.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Each building will be its own unit.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. I like Iorio.
Yes, for the parking use.
What is this?
Do you need help?
No, I think it's so much.
I have a GoFundMe for elastics. We always have to use, if we lose it, we're dead. Unless someone puts-
Thank you very much.
670. Circle. 670.
right home.
Thanks a lot.
Good night,
Appreciate it.
Phil.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night, Bill.
All right, now it kills all of us now. You got the stuff coming up? All right. With the hour being after 7:10,
Yeah.
we have a continued public hearing for Kearsarge and, what?
Person board,
What?
just so you know, it's a full-person board.
Yeah,
Didn't want you to mess up.
it's like being at home. And as I was informed, there's 4 of us. You wanna go? Okay, they're ready to go. All right, and being a site plan, it's a simple majority of 3, minimum of 3, all right. We have comments back, and I'll read them before we start with the police, dated April 8th. Walpole Police Department does not have any public safety concerns relative to the traffic. From Board of Health, their April 1st meeting, they voted unanimously that they have no comments. From the deputy fire chief, but he's the one he just sent today, Kate, I saw on my way out. Oh, here it is, never mind. Oh, it's attached to that, okay. We have a letter May 1st from the deputy fire chief, Alan Over. All right, and he's reviewed the plans, and he says he finds the plans acceptable, and previous questions and comments are attached, which have been answered, and that was done at our last meeting. And so, he's all set there. That's part of it. From Chris Johnson, Assistant Town Engineer, and his, oh, it's dated way back. January 16th, the reference has been made, the Norfolk Aggie Agricultural School Solar Project, and the comments from their January 16th, 2025 memo have been resolved, so there are no further issues. And from Jim Thomas, Superintendent Park, Cemetery, and Forestry, at the request of Assistant Town Engineer Chris Johnson, I reviewed the overall site plan on sheet C-102 and revised April 4th, and the Word doc providing additional information. My opinion, the deer-resistant green giant arborvitae is appropriate for screening. The spacing and location are up to the planning board. I want to emphasize that newly established trees that water is vital to their survival. If water bags are used, they must be replenished. Health at the beginning of the second growing season should be checked and trees replaced if they do not survive. So that has come from the town superintendent. And I have, what's this? this to us? Oh, we have a letter of April 16th from Pierce Atwood. And if you want to do it? Yeah, since you're here, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Kathleen Heyer. I'm a partner at Pierce Atwood, and I represent Kearsarge. We did submit a letter in response to a number of comments that the board made at the last hearing, and also in response to various issues that were raised by members of the public at the last meeting. I won't go through and read it for all of you. It was several pages. I'm just going to hit a couple of the highlights. With respect to the screening, I know that was a topic of discussion at the last meeting. The gentleman from the town who reviews trees has confirmed that the proposed green giant arborvitae are acceptable and appropriate. Certainly, we understand that watering and looking after the trees to make sure they become established and successfully grow is important. My client fully is prepared to do that, and I mean, it would be pointless to plant the trees and then have them die. The point is to have them grow and successfully screen the project. We submitted some photographs showing what the screening will look like. At the time where the trees are planted, they'll be 5 to 6 feet tall, and then as we noted, they will grow from there. It will take a couple of years before they fully reach their potential and screen, but that is typical with a natural screening. We also submitted some photographs showing standard ground-mounted solar arrays and canopies in close proximity to residential neighborhoods. In a variety of other municipalities, there were concerns raised about safety and access, and these types of projects have been done successfully across the Commonwealth with no issues, and we expect that would be the same as well for this project. We submitted some information with respect to the noise. That was a question at the last meeting. So the typical noise for any of the system equipment is between 60 and 70 decibels when measured at about 10 feet away. And the properties are all over 75 to 190 feet from the property line. The project, you're not going to be able to hear anything essentially at that point. 60 decibels is sort of a standard conversation. We gave some other examples, kitchen dishwasher around 55 to 70 at 3 to 5 feet away. And so, you know, of course, the further away you get from the project, the noise drops off. So noise should not be an issue. We provided some other photographs showing the sort of dual-use solar agriculture combination that the state has approved as part of the project. Those were Exhibit 3 to the letter. We provided some additional information about the prior public engagement and some feedback and some of the responses in design based on the comments that were received from the public along the way. And we also provided more of an overview of the board's authority with respect to reviewing this particular project. We discussed the Dover Amendment at length at the last meeting, and while I'm happy to answer questions, I don't feel like I need to beat a dead horse on that one. And I provided also some case law and discussion from cases relating to other solar projects which have been making their way through the court. So it's taken a while, but there is a decent body of case law at this point providing guidance for the board in making its decision tonight. This isn't, the board is not operating in a vacuum. There is guidance along the way, and while we certainly respect your authority to impose reasonable conditions as set forth in your bylaw, there is a limit because this is a protected use under the Dover Amendment. And if you have questions, I'm happy to get into any of the particulars of my analysis here, but at the end of the day, our position is we provided everything that you need to make a decision. The town departments have all signed off on this and said that it's fine, and we would respectfully ask you to approve the site plan as it's presented to you.
Okay, you all set? Okay. We'll do the board first. John?
I want to thank the applicant for more useful locus map. At least it shows on a scale that's easy to understand where it's located and what the adjoining streets are. Something. I had a question just for clarification, page C-105.
Oh, just,
I just wanted to understand, the shaded area towards the center there, could you just explain what that's illustrating?
That's just showing.
The curve, yeah.
This, yeah, so the existing farm road cuts the corner with the larger radius. This is just showing that we'll be tightening up the radius of the turn to get around the end of the panel.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I don't believe I have anything else.
Okay. Phil?
Yeah, so I did have an opportunity to talk to one of the butters this morning, and that was actually very helpful, understanding his issues and other issues that the neighbors have. I did, get a better view of what it looks like from the backyard. I could see that, though, with the arborvitae, and I did a little more research on the arborvitae as the, as we got from our own officials. I think that is a good screening
I'll give it in bed.
for the hiding the solar cells. I also talked to the deputy fire chief and went through some of the other issues, and it sounds like the key thing is the vegetation management plans, and he was very comfortable with that. So I don't think I have any real concerns. I can appreciate, though, that the neighbors, this is a big change. It may not be the most ideal place to put it, but I don't see anything that would be, that would allow us, I think, to put a lot of conditions on it. And we may be other things we want to do, I don't know, but I don't have any other questions.
And I would just note that the fire department proposed 2 conditions in their comments, and we are happy to have those included in the decision.
Yeah, he mentioned to me that all of the things he asked for you have done, so, including the second hydrant.
Correct.
Yeah. So,
Nothing else? You all set?
I guess that.
All right. Kate?
I just get a couple of things. So I think probably this first question is for you. Just clarification so I understand. So the county's tax exempt, correct?
I believe so. I'm not a tax lawyer.
Right. So Kearsarge is a for-profit company.
Yes.
So the question I have is, they're constructing this on tax exempt land. However, they're not a tax exempt company. So are they going to pay the town taxes?
I believe so.
How does that work? Is it just based on the value? How does it work?
Right, so it'd be the personal property tax as opposed to a real estate tax?
So explain, and this is just because I don't understand. So right now, they don't pay the town taxes, but now this land will be taxed, and you will pay tax on
So the
Kearsarge will
personal
better.
property will be part of the pilot agreement, and the application actually gives the range of the value of that tax payment to the town as expected. And once we have the approvals to proceed, we'll negotiate a pilot agreement.
And that would be the value of the arrays.
There's a, and once again,
Yeah.
I'm the tax expert, but from there's plenty of precedent in terms of the calculation of the tax rate that's applied to solar like this.
But at the end of the day, it will go from being non-tax producing to being tax producing for the town.
And it's okay to put a for-profit business on a tax exempt?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Okay, I've said that 1,000 times. You got something to show me that's from the state, some law? This is,
This isn't a unique principle, but the
okay.
solar panels on all town land, landfills, you know.
I understand, but my point, do you have something that backs this up?
We're not tax experts, and we're actually not.
Well, I think I've said the word McDonald's every meeting, and I've yet to see that. So if someone doesn't, if you have it, people are willing to throw it at you. If you don't have it,
Sorry, what's your question?
the question is very simple. How do you build, how does a private entity be able to build on public land?
We have a lease with the.
Well, no, how it is from a
Lease with
legal
the county.
standpoint. Like I said, can I put a McDonald's on the Aggie?
If the county wanted to negotiate with McDonald's,
But I know the lawsuit, but the lawsuit was very simple. It had to do with denial by the building inspector because it's not in the right zone, and that got, but I've always maintained is how is a private entity allowed to make money off public lands that are exempt from zoning? That's
They-
what,
The public land is leased to the commercial entity. The town, or the county has the right to lease their land to another entity. That happens across the Commonwealth and across the country.
well, I think if you look at it, the way the counties goes, typically they'll call it surplus and they have to give the first round, to the town, to the state, then the town, and then it goes out. But what's happening here is you're taking a piece of land that you can build anything because public schools are exempt and putting a private enterprise on it where the private enterprise is making money.
So I believe the property actually was offered to the town and the state first
But
before
all I
this.
said, but what I've said 100 times is, where's the piece of paper, Mass General Law, blah, 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 or this court case? You got 1,000 court cases in here about land use. I understand that, but I don't see anything that says that allows private entity to come to a public place and make money off it. That's what I've been looking for, and I haven't seen it, so.
Understood.
And you do land, right?
I do.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so my next question, I think I now am a certified horticulturist because I have done so much research on these arborvitae. And I drove all over Walpole and Norwood and such looking at arborvitae. So I was able to locate a beautiful species on the corner of High Plain and Hummingbird that I believe are these. And they are mature, so they're healthy and mature. I saw several in other places that were not healthy, and when they're not healthy, boy, do they look bad. And they won't screen when they're not healthy. So I also looked at, how you guys had spaced them and said how big they'd grow and how fast they'd grow, and obviously, and I respect this, because if I were the one presenting, I'd do the same thing. You always did the max instead of the average. And I'm concerned. My concern is, I know eventually they'll be big and beautiful, but in the meantime, the neighbors have to deal with this. And I have to say, you shouldn't have put Exhibit 3 in there, because that made it worse when I saw Exhibit 3. I mean, these are, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, they're big eyesores. So, that being said, if this were to go forward, I need more. I need more of a guarantee that these are gonna be screened better. I believe these are the right plants. I think that you know, you said you were spacing them 10 feet apart. I saw everywhere I looked online, they ranged anywhere from, you know, 5 to 8 feet was the best way to place them. I would also say there should be maybe another row of them. So although you're zigzagging them, I think adding another row, which I actually drew a picture for myself on the plan, if I can find it, to further, you know, make them thicker and more. And in addition to that, the watering plan that was proposed, I don't think it's gonna cut it, just because I've myself at my house planted shrubbery, lots of shrubbery, and when you buy them at the nursery, they always say, you know, yeah, water the heck out of them the first year, but the first year is not gonna just take care of it. So I do believe we need watering more than just those, the first year, and a little more than what's proposed. So my question is, and I don't know if this is a thing or not, so I'm just gonna ask it. You're on an agricultural school property. Are the school kids involved in this project?
The school's going to be involved in the farming of the land around the array and collection of the data and development of the reporting. So yes, I'll be involved in it.
So, I mean, could they be pulled in somehow to help with the hydration of these plants rather than just what's proposed? You know, that's something to think about if these,
So we're happy to be responsible and required to ensure that the trees are adequately watered to establish themselves. That would be a typical requirement, and we anticipate that, and the landscaper that we engage will be required to do that until they're established.
I also feel that, you know, from everything I've listened to and from the pictures you guys gave us, especially after I saw Exhibit 3, I think everyone would accept this a little more if it were not so high. You know, if it were more like the other solar project, and I understand why you say the hay, but, so when you buy a house, for the average person, this is your biggest investment. In Walpole, we have different zoning, well, before the recent changes, but, you know, these people bought their homes, they invested everything they had in a district that was Park School Recreation Conservation. There were fields there. Their biggest problem was probably the smell from animals. I mean, and now they have to just say, yeah, okay, you know, it's hard to swallow. I don't know, it's a tough one for me, it really is.
It's a passive use.
I understand, and I understand this is your job,
The limit of the impact is...
but it's not your house and it's not your investment, and you're not the one gonna be looking out the window every day. So I respect what you're doing, I respect why you're there, but it's hard.
There are a range of alternative development options for that land. This would be the least impactful on neighbours. And a array spaced at 20 feet, basically fence post with a panel on the top, from a visual aspect standpoint at 100 feet from the boundary is far less impactful than a multi-storey building. So I feel that the screen that we proposed is very much adequate. We're not required to completely eliminate the side of the panels. I don't think you would agree that that's a requirement with other buildings that are brought before the board, and we're putting in a screen that is spaced so that the trees overlap, and they're substantial trees, and we're planting them at the 5 to 6 foot level rather than what's very often typical, which is 3 to 4 feet. So I understand the concern, I do, but from a development standpoint, this is a very low impact development compared to what the alternatives could be. You could have a barn built 50 feet off the boundary line. The Aggie would have the right to do that. This is an array that will be taken down and decommissioned. It allows continued farming and use, and it allows continued access.
That's what I've got right now.
You all set with that?
Yeah.
All right. I have a question on one of the things in here. Looking at some of the pictures, and I'm like, where's this one in Walpole? So you've included solars, but not on necessarily, say, on fields, correct? Like the one you include in Walpole's up at the Aggie, but that's that solar panels on the garage, or that one level garage, correct?
We had included photos that showed solar in proximity to residential areas, which I thought was the request.
Yeah, but the ones on that, call it a garage for lack of a better, on top of, it's covered parking, so, I mean.
It's still, yeah, visual impact on the people that live on that street.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Next question is, you indicated here that we have one of these solar farms next to Daisy Drive.
I believe that may be, the Daisy Drive may be in Walpole, but I think the solar facility might be adjacent to it, but it's an example of a facility similar to this that has no screening.
Well, that's why when I look this stuff over, it's like Daisy Drive. Daisy Drive's on the other side of Lincoln by the gun club.
I think you would ask.
There's nothing, I'm like,
I think you would ask for examples of solar within the area that
I understand,
did or
but-
did not have screening. So that example was an example of solar that's very adjacent to the town, that's similar size, that has. does not
okay,
have
so
a
we
screening.
have, it was, I guess, typed on this, but the lovely one in Walpole, if you look at that one, I believe I know where that one is, woods all around it, so.
There's woods on two sides, as with the case of this one. You know, we have woods on the west side of the array, and we have a 100-foot buffer to existing tree line on the east side, and the north is the only area where there's not established woods.
All right, you mentioned something, I don't know. The height, an issue, or
The height of what?
these panels?
It's awful.
Yeah, all right, since you mentioned it, question, you want these big high panels, on North Street you don't have them. Is there any difference in the amount of juice you're gonna get out of the panels if they were at the low one?
Yeah, so North Street isn't an agricultural array, and so the reason
I
for the reason for the
understand that, but
height-
I'm asking the simple question is, if you lower them to like North Walpole, or North Street, do you lose anything from a juice
Production?
standpoint?
No.
So if you lowered them, you're gonna get the same kick that you would whether they're up high or not, correct?
That's not the basis of the design. It's an agricultural project.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, well, over there it's a field too, that's all. So you have these at, if you had them at that level, you haven't lost anything, so to speak. Okay. And I just wanted to check on that.
Yeah, but it can't be built at that height because it's permitted by the state to be built at the 11-foot height, so it's a
I
requirement.
know, yeah, the state, I don't see the state here, but my point is, we keep getting hammered, these are, you gotta do them, you gotta do them, because the state says you have to, fine, but you don't have to build them that high to get the same. If we're talking about energy from, what do you call it, Greenland, as we're talking, not Greenland, but green, so what does it make whether they get here or here? Well, it seems like it would be less obtrusive to everybody is, if you're telling me you can do it, probably can, what's the matter down there? That's all.
So the difference is that this isn't proposed as that type, this is proposed specifically as a dual use. And if the height is reduced, it no longer becomes that use. And with all due respect, those types of conditions are the things that the courts have consistently upheld as unreasonable because they improperly interfere with the proposed use, which is the dual-use solar and agricultural array.
When I read through all this, I didn't see anything that indicated, they talk about solar, you gotta allow that, but I didn't see anything about agriculture and any of that
It's in the
stuff.
narrative extensively talking about
It's
this
what?
is a dual-use array, and talks about the continued use of the field for farming.
But that's from a court?
No, it's in the narrative.
Oh, it's a narrative, I understand, but there's nothing, a court docket and Mass General laws that says, this is, you can do this, and you have to do it if we say we want this, that's all. I'm looking at it as you got a solar project, that's all.
The bylaw in the town has a height of 15 feet that's allowable on ground mount, so we're beneath that height already.
Yeah, but we, okay, I understand that, but we also sit here, then why am I even here if everything you say you can do and just walk away? We have abilities to do that. We've done that with buildings and so on and so forth. So it's the same thing here. We're not taking away any juice, so to speak.
No, you are, because we can't build it if you put that imposition on us.
You can't build it, why?
because it's been approved as a dual-use agricultural array
By
on the
who?
state program. Mass DOER,
Why are they involved if this is all solar? I don't,
because the Department of Energy is involved in solar.
so is this already approved by them?
Yes.
Did you submit something to that effect?
I believe we've told you repeatedly that it's been approved by
We've said on
DOER.
multiple occasions.
Okay. Let's kind of, without me getting, you keep saying we've said on multiple occasions. I have kids that said, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. And I got pictures of them doing it. So
So the narrative in the application.
I understand about the narrative. Do you have something from,
In the narrative, it outlines that this has been reviewed and approved.
but you have,
It's not a
Like-
requirement that we evidence that in the
it's not,
narrative.
all right, so you don't want to give it to me, is what you're telling me.
We're happy to provide you with the conditional approval, but it does not change the facts that you have in front of you or the information you
Well-
have.
Okay, but it'd be nice to have it, because if you got an approval of something else, we always like paper, that's all. I'd like to see it. Am I doubting you? No, but,
I don't believe it's a reason to hold up a decision on this.
okay. So if you say you can do it, and this is the only way to do it, and we say, why don't you do this, then you say, trust me, and approve it, and there's no reason to do it.
There are regulations that you can access that we can pull up right now on screen that will give you the requirements for this project. I can get the letter. There was an application made by these schools to the DOER that outlined the design, and they approved that design with comments. So the work has been done.
Okay, so if someone asks me tomorrow, we approved it, and it says, well, where's this Mass D approval? I don't have it. How do you know they got it? Well, they said they had it.
It's really not relevant to your analysis of whether we met the town's bylaw requirements for site plan approval.
Well, it's relevant when you said this is only approved for this, and we can't make you do that. So if it's approved for this, it gives you backup reason why you're up this high, that's all.
But you're under the 15 feet, which is allowed in, so section 13, our large-scale overlay district allows up to 15
I
feet
understand that, Phil,
height.
but they've come in and, why is it so hard to give me something that already exists? That's all.
You haven't previously questioned the fact that we.
I haven't okay. Do you know how much I make doing this job? How much you make doing this job? This is your job, this ain't mine. I would think, when I've done it, I've been on that side before for my own stuff, I bring everything, including the kitchen sink. And it's like having a gun. You don't go to a gun without bullets in it, so you have, just in case you need it, you put it there. I don't think it's being unreasonable, because you said, we're not gonna do it because we're only approved for this, but we have an approval from the state or Amherst that says this is what it's approved for. All I'm asking for is that. I don't think that's,
I'm happy to bring up on screen now. if you
no,
plug in.
no, I'd like to just,
If you're asking us to provide that, we can provide it as a condition. But at this point, we respectfully request a decision tonight. If you feel that this is a point that can overturn your decision, that you're questioning whether or not there's a program at the state level that requires arrays to be at this height and that we've applied for it,
okay, so you've applied for this based upon this agriculture use, but that's not to say that the Aggie couldn't just say, yeah, we'll build it like North Walpole, correct? I mean, North Street.
this has been approved by the county as an agricultural solar project. It's been reviewed with the community as an agricultural solar project. We've applied for it with the state as an agricultural solar project. That's what this project is.
Okay.
This is not a ground-mounted standard solar project. The only way this exists is as an agricultural solar project. And I will state that the reason that we had initially looked at this is because of the community opposition to us fencing off fields at the Aggie, mass opposition, stating that they did not want to have that field taken out of use. And so that was 3 or 4 years ago, the start of the process to create an agricultural land.
And there's a lot of benefit of doing, I did a lot of research on, UMass Amherst is at the forefront of dual use with solar panels and farming underneath. And, at an agricultural school, it's actually a good thing to offer that to the students as another part of their education.
So they learn how to mow a field that they're already mowing anyway. That's a lot of education there. Okay, so how much is the state involved in this? Just approvals, or they give you stuff for this, or what happens?
The state runs the SMART program that we are building into. So the program for incentives and revenue around solar.
Okay.
Of course, there's permits for connecting
Permits.
the grid, which come from the state.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
There's permits that are required to connect to the larger electrical grid, and those come
That's
from the
also
state.
overseen by DPU.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, there's another question. Do you already have your permit ready to go?
The interconnection permit,
Yeah.
I believe that was actually provided with the materials.
Yeah, it's in this?
I think it's in the book you
Yeah.
passed out. There
Yeah.
was a thick book.
Okay.
I didn't bring mine,
All right,
unfortunately.
since I don't have my book either. You already approved?
Yes,
You already at the starting line?
it's approved at the starting line, we just need to tell them to build.
So once this is built, you automatically get on?
Yes.
Oh, so it's like other guys I've talked to who have these coming, because they're not part of the state network, they gotta go to the back of the bus.
No, we applied for this 2 to 3 years ago. We went through a multi-month process.
Okay.
We were approved, and that allowed us then to apply for this
All right, I'll
program.
go back to, okay, well, let's just get one thing, so we understand whether you're up high or low, it doesn't affect connecting to the grid.
No.
Okay, that's fine. All right, it's president's time. Okay. All right, whoever wants to talk, you can come up to the microphone, name and address for the record, please.
Attorney Tom Yessi, 12 Walden Drive. Before I address the board, I did have one question for the representatives of Kearsarge. As far as monitoring goes, so what happens to one of these high-voltage lines if it comes disconnected on a Saturday night, a Sunday morning? What is the procedures in place that the company becomes aware of it and it's rectified? Because again, they're high, as they disclosed earlier, they're high-voltage lines, and I'm just curious what the procedures are in place for that.
Okay, I'll ask anyone from Kearsarge?
So the systems are monitored 24 hours a day. We have an asset management team that's notified if there are any discontinuities with the system. So we have a DAS, a distributed information acquisition system that provides us with that information constantly.
Okay, well, I think the question is the thing's flopping on the ground. How long
If
before someone
there is
gets
an issue
here?
with the facility, then we roll trucks to repair it.
Okay, okay. So it's not like you got an ambulance in the town, so where's the nearest one for this?
We have our own electrical staff who are based in Boston, and we have third parties that are available any day of the week, any time of the week.
But any, other than Boston, it's a legitimate question. Are they in Amherst? Are they in Boston? You know, how close? That's what I think he's looking for.
Is the question, can we tell if there's something wrong with the array? I think the question was, can we identify if there's an issue with the array? And we have a communication system attached to the array that will indicate if there is any issue with the array. We have an O&M team that will come out to site to identify the problem and repair it.
My question is, so if that's overnight on a weekend, what's the response time? Again, we've got a field out there with hay, with a high voltage wire, right? I mean, that's the question.
Response time.
This is no different to any power line that has an issue. So if there is an issue with the facility, we'll move O&M staff out to address it. And the conductors, these aren't conductors that are going to fall on the ground. The conductors are in raceways. Anything that is low is buried and is inaccessible So I'm not entirely sure what the scenario is that you're looking at.
So there's multiple, I don't know that I have to think of them all now. It's a high wind area, one blows over, a child goes out there, climbs it up, pulls it off, and now we've got a high voltage wire. You said before, when they become disconnected, they stay live. That's the question, that's the concern.
We have the ability to shut the system down remotely if we determine that there's any risk, and we would do so. But if there is an issue with the facility, then we'll roll O&M teams out there to address it. And this is town land or county land on a school, and so and these are situated at 11 feet at the pivot point in the air, so it's no different to the canopy that you drive past on Fisher Street. It would be the same risk. So the canopy that's in the car park is at a lower elevation than these panels, and so it's exactly the same risk you are exposed to there or with any other canopy in any shopping centre or with rooftop solar on your house. So there's no difference between that.
I would just rebut, those ones in the parking lot don't have a houses 100 feet from them. They don't have hay growing underneath them.
They do have houses within 120 feet across the road, and they have people under them and cars under them constantly. So it's the same height of structure, the same challenge that you're asking about.
Okay. Now I have a question. Back, when you brought it up over the parking lot, is that yours?
Yes.
You didn't have to come here?
For that one, we did have to come for site plan approval.
How'd you do that? That's why you all of a sudden would talk about it. It's like, how'd that happen?
Are those panels
No.
currently activated?
You can get after he's done, you can come up. All right, because you guys mentioned, I'm like, I don't remember that at all. But must be the same midnight one that was up at Johnson too, that we never saw. All right, so what you're saying is, I want to sum it up, is if something goes amok, like the Edison, the wire comes down, Kearsarge has the ability to shut the system down at that point, and nothing is going to be charged up. Then you come out and fix it, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
So before because Mr. Chairman, you had, I think in the initial hearing, discussed this at length with him, and he said the battery, like, that gets all shut down. The wires stay live. So I mean, I don't know what the change in facts are now. I'm just a little incredulous at this point.
Okay, well, that's a good question. You said the panels still stay charged.
The panels themselves and the leads from the panels are charged. And as long as there's sun impacting the panels, they'll create a voltage. Correct. But the system is shut down at the interconnection point if there
They're
are
going
any
out.
issues.
But you're still gonna have, you could have potentially live panels, right?
This is the same issue that you face with the canopy in the garage and the parking lot.
I don't care about that.
I guess I'm not understanding the difference between the two. What risk are you concerned about?
We need to keep repeating it over and over again.
Back and forth, we're gonna beat this to death.
I don't know.
going.
I would just say respectfully for the board, like,
Yeah,
take
I
everything
understand.
here. Excuse me, I'm speaking now. You can have your turn.
There-
I'm speaking
Let
now.
him.
Please sit down. Thank you. Okay. I would just say respectfully for the board to take everything that comes from this company with a grain of salt, right? I mean, they have a financial interest here, okay?
Yep.
All right. I would just say on top of that, as far as I know, the board requested all these photos of similar projects, and we have a solar expert here, and he couldn't come up with one last time. I've seen the exhibits that they submitted to the board, and I mean, it's kind of, you have eyes, the board has eyes. Those are nothing like, one's that, as you said, the parking lot, one's out in Ludlow someplace in a farmland. There's no houses near there. I mean, this is an unprecedented project due to the location. It abuts a high school is there, there's several neighborhoods that abut this project, and it's 100 feet off of them. Respectfully, those pictures are nothing like this project as far as the location of it. This is a unique location. The residents of North Walpole here have been treating us human guinea pigs. This is completely unprecedented, and I want the board to keep that in mind when they make decisions here tonight. I just quite frankly think where this is located, the size and the scope of the project, Kearsarge is really pushing the envelope of responsibility to see what they can get away with and what the board's going to let them get away with. Just to go back to some, because I did submit paperwork, and I know we've been here so many times and we've talked this thing to death. As far as the screening goes, in the initial hearing back in February, Mr. Chairman, you had requested that they come back with 10-foot arborvitaes, and we discussed the use of a berm to kind of get an immediate screenage there. They came back with 5 and no berm, and they're talking about spacing them 10 feet apart, as Ms. Turco has already said, which just kind of really, it just lacks any kind of credibility that that's actually going to screen anything. As far as the noise goes, I heard what council here said, as far as like a conversation, two people having a conversation, but we're talking about tens of thousands of these things. Now you're in a football stadium worth of noise, right? It's not 2 people out there. It's multiple arrays here that are going to multiply together, right? And it's not one in isolation. It's thousands together, right? You get one bird out in the field, you hear a bird. You hear 10,000 birds, it's a dull roar.
But aren't there only motors for every, they're in lines, right? So there's a motor that does a whole number of the panels.
And we're talking still thousands, correct? I mean, we're talking about one person having a conversation or 10,000 people having a conversation. You can't isolate one and then say when you add them together, it doesn't multiply the sound. Most importantly, this is a public safety issue, sorry. 100 feet is insufficient. As we discussed last time, I did also speak to the fire chief. Again, to refresh everyone's memory, he said the fire codes have not caught up with these projects. Their hands are kind of tied. But he did tell me it was, the concerns of the neighbors here. It's not enough room to set up a proper containment area, and that it could spread to the neighborhood houses. And he said it's a very realistic concern that 100 feet is not sufficient, and that it would spread to the neighboring properties. Very high wind area over there for anyone that's been out there. Public safety, we discussed this at length the last time. This needs to be fenced in. Needs to be fenced in. This is a public safety issue. I know council here has said you have to do whatever they want to do, and you have all these restrictions. You do have the right to take in public health and safety here. This needs to be fenced in. Some kid is going to get killed out there. It's at a high school. There's walking paths out there. People drive out there. There's a road out there. It needs to be fenced in. If we don't fence this in, honestly, I don't know what everyone's been doing here. We've all been wasting our time. I don't know why we have a planning board. It will be open season here in Walpole. They'll all want to come here. It needs to be fenced in. I've had several mothers ask me to allay their concerns to the board. They're requesting and they're requiring you to protect their children here. These things need to be fenced in. In the various forms this project has been proposed before, there were fences before, there needs to be a fence now. There needs to be a fence now. It's a very, again, as I said, unprecedented, unique location here. 100 feet off several neighborhoods. There's a high school there. These kids go out there. They drive their cars out there at night. This is going to be like a tremendous safety issue. I would also say I found it particularly reprehensible last time at the last session when we talked about there's liability insurance. So that's okay if some kid gets injured or killed out there because the company has liability insurance. This needs to be fenced in. Needs to be fenced in here. Needs to be fenced in here. The zoning act allows the board to take reasonable regulations here, where again to protect the public health, safety, or welfare. And fencing and all these things are reasonable regulations. Where the towns have gotten into trouble is where these regulations were a pretext to eliminate the project altogether. And that's not anything that the abutters have asked to do or the board's looking to do here. These are reasonable regulations. These are reasonable reasonable requests here on this project due to the location of it, due to the size of it. Just to refresh the board, what we had requested at the last meeting was an increased buffer zone. I know the chairman didn't like my number. Whatever you think that number is, 100 feet is not sufficient to us. Again, the height of the project's been discussed already. The privacy screen needs to be immediate. Again, we had talked about 10-foot trees and berms and making sure it was an immediate screen. We seem to be well short of that here. Again, and I would just say most importantly, we need security fencing on this thing to protect the general public and the children here. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. All right, who's next?
Thank you. Anthony Frucci, 4 Walden Drive. Philip, thanks for coming out today. Appreciate you taking a look at the field. Thank you all for your consideration on this very important topic and situation here. Philip, when you were out there, you mentioned certain bylaws and compliance. I just want to state and just remind the board, as I mentioned last time that I spoke, that there is an open investigation by the DOER and the state auditor on this project for many violations that have taken place. As you commented, they weren't here before when they built the canopy. Why is that? So as you make your decision or consider your decision, think of those things. You're all elected officials. You're here representing us, the people of Walpole, the citizens here. And there's many of us that are opposed to this project, not just the abutters, the people in Walpole. There are a lot of people in Walpole that don't even know that this project is going to happen. They will be in shock when they see what is going to happen to their lovely land here in Walpole. Take that into consideration. This has been going on for years, more than 3 or 4 years. I've been involved with this well past that, and there have been options provided to the county as alternatives to this land, and the county declined 3 reasonable considerations. So take that into your decision as well. You've received many letters, emails, phone calls, I'm sure. Many public officials have regarding the safety. You've heard it just recently. Environmental issues, health issues, the decibel of 50 to 60 decibels, that's loud. Now, these panels are going to be turning all day long. I work from home. I don't want to hear my dishwasher running all day long, every day of the week. That's insane. So take that into consideration. The aesthetics we talked about, this is the wrong project for the wrong location. This project needs to be done somewhere else, not where we're located. It was mentioned in the previous meeting that our town identity is at risk. Please take into consideration that you represent us. Your decision matter. Your vote is very important. And you're going to be the ones that are setting a precedent, as Tom mentioned, and putting this town's identity at risk. If this project goes through, we will be known as the town with the large solar field amongst residential areas. Please be logical, responsible in your decision, and remember, you're representing residents of Walpole, not private companies based in Boston. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you. Question for you guys. You said 60 decibels. Where's that taken from?
About 10 feet away.
10 feet. What is it 100 feet away? Do you know?
It's, I can provide that information for you, but it is below audible level.
Okay, but we have, he said he doesn't want to hear his dishwasher. I understand that, so it's no different than we do with people with lights when they shine. You got a light, well, by the time it gets to you, it looks like this out there, the same thing. If there's a noise factor, we should at least know what the noise factor is at the edge and what that equals. And if you say it's inaudible, fine, but at least we need that. Okay?
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay.
My name is Pat Bowden. I'm a resident on Walden Drive. And I just wanted to make a couple of points. I've been here on and off for a long time. A couple of meetings ago, there was a talk about the fire plan. And I wasn't at the meeting when it came up, but what I was told was the response to if there was a fire over with one of the, the solar panels, that they just typically let it burn out. And that outraged me. My daughter just went through the LA fires. I know how fast all those fires run. And, excuse me, I have a sister that just went through a home fire. She went to bed, she had one electrical spark, little windy night, lost her dog, lost her house, lost everything that she has worked her whole life for. So when I heard this response that they would just let the fire burn out, I was enraged. So what I'm asking is that you have a plan in place and you be proactive and not reactive. The other thing I wanted to mention is I've been a realtor for 25 years in town. I know that this will affect the values of all those abutters. And I want to know what Kearsarge or the town is going to do to compensate everybody that's losing investments in their home.
You all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Just so you understand, Pat, is I took it upon and I just, after they said they'll just let it burn, I didn't think I was right either. Didn't get a whole good response from downtown fire department.
Things move so quick.
No, I understand,
And
but,
to have a response like that, I was irate.
yeah, but I would have expected something else, but I didn't get it, so we can only do what we can do because we're not fire experts, we have to rely on the others, so my suggestion is if you're not satisfied, is talk to down there, the deputy chief on all this.
Because I talked to him today, and he didn't have problems as long as the, the
But
the appropriate
what
plans.
my concern is that we're gonna be reactive, and that's too late when you're reactive. You gotta be proactive and put everything in place that you can to prevent something from like that happening. And this is a project that's very, very close to a lot of homes, and if something happens, you saw in LA, things move really quick. So I just asked for you to think about those things, as well as everybody living there and the hit that they're gonna take on their property values.
And again, it would be up to the fire department to give us that guidance, so we're not really the experts at assessing those risks.
You should take some more time and really think it through, I think.
All right, next.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Himali. I'm from 12 Susan Drive. I just have a few follow-up questions from the last meeting, and then I'll dive into some of the comments that I've heard today. So there were two things that were pending from our last meeting we had here. You had asked for Kearsarge to bring some comments from the previous meetings that they've had with the community. That those were held with the Norfolk County Commissioners at the Norfolk County School. And the concern was that we, according to Kearsarge, the community had said that we would not want fencing. I would like to see that comment from previous meetings.
I'm only grinning because that was one of my notes here. Where is it?
Right.
Who said that?
So can we see some evidence
Okay.
of that?
Do you guys have something from the minutes that said, and what people said we didn't want the fence?
We provided the Q&A from those sessions where we discussed the fact that there would not be fencing, so it would not interrupt the use of the field area for cross-country and for the hayride, which was our principal concern.
So you provided that, but I didn't see where it said people said they didn't want a fence.
That's the county though, right? The hayride and the cross-country, that's the county, that's the school.
Yeah.
Not the residents.
So if it is going to be a choice between hay rides and allowing the county to access the field versus my safety and my protection, I'm going to choose my safety and my protection because I don't know anybody else is looking out for the abutters over here, except I truly appreciate your efforts.
I'm with
But I
you.
don't think the company is looking out for
It
me.
was stated by the project team that the residents didn't want it.
Correct.
Well, do we have anything to that effect? That's what I'd like to see,
Yep.
is from that specific, it had a name and address, which I would hope, because if you lived on Washington Street in South Walpole, I don't want a fence, well, who cares?
Correct.
If you live up on Fisher, that's what you'd want to see.
12th Susan Drive. We have people here from Phillip Road and Susan Drive.
Yep, you guys are all
And
affected.
Walden. We are so badly impacted by this.
Okay, and I would, if that's been presented by the team that said the neighbors didn't want it, so if there's something that backs it up to indicate that the previous neighbors didn't want it or whatever, you know,
This neighborhood has not changed in the last 10 years.
no, I understand, but I'm trying to make it be fair. If they were, someone represented to them, they lived there, at least we can see the names of who said it, but at least we need something that said it was said by the neighbors, which I mean typically abutters. You guys got something, that from those meetings?
I've provided the Q&A from those meetings, and the transcript is also on the county website, but we've provided what we have.
So you don't have anything to back that up then, other than what you've said. So, but here's my issue with this. You presented to everybody here that the neighbors didn't want it. But there's nothing other than go to the website or whatever, or transcript. I would think that if I was a developer, I would be coming, that would be one of them here. 12 Susan Drive said, I don't want it. 15 Walden said, I don't want it. That's how you present, other than go look. So do you want to still keep on saying the neighbors didn't want the fence, or do you want to give us something to indicate that they didn't? Or do we just kind of take that off the table now?
I don't have names and addresses of neighbours that specifically requested no fence.
Did they have a sign-in sheet that night?
The community meeting extended beyond just the neighbours, and the concern around the original proposed project was that it would fence off the field and prevent access. And so we moved to an agricultural solar array that enabled it to be built without fences and provided continued access.
So that's when you guys went to this agricultural, so you didn't have to put a fence, is that what you just said?
That's right. So,
Okay.
so we did not have to fence off the field.
So originally, this was considered low-hanging fruit, so to speak.
Yes.
And then, now you went up because you didn't want to put the fence. All right, so I understand that.
Every meeting we attended, we had to sign an attendance sheet. We all gave our name, phone number, and addresses at
Okay.
each of that meeting.
Okay.
All meetings were recorded, including the chaos and the disrespectful conversations that we had with the county commissioners.
All right, and that was your first one, you have,
That was my first one.
Yep.
The second one, the company just made a comment about whatever they're proposing here, is the list impactful to the neighbors? I would like to understand how they concluded that. Based on what? Have they approached the neighbors? Did they ask for our feedback? How did they decide? What is their perspective on that statement, that this proposal is the least impactful to the neighbors?
I assume,
The comment is based on the solar being a passive use. That's probably the most efficient way of answering the question. It's going to be removed at the end of the term, as
Okay,
opposed
so-
to other development opportunities.
so what, this was in the opinion of, not necessarily, but your team, that this is the best use for this without impacting?
As part of the discussion on the project, it has been pointed out that in terms of development options for this piece of land, of which there are many, a solar facility that's going to be removed at the end and preserves the land as agricultural land is the least impactful.
Okay, so on the opinions of the proponents, not the neighbors. I understand, that's fine. All right.
So I would just request them not to use statements like that, that this is least impactful to the neighbors. You can use other words instead of the neighbors, because this has been the most impactful to the neighbors.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I want to go back to the fire safety issue, and I understand that, you know, board members have talked to the fire chief, and the fire chief has the letter, and we have spoken with the fire chief, and we are getting different responses. So my neighbor, who is a really good researcher and a teacher, and has given me this document, we just Googled today afternoon some of the reasons that solar panels or solar farms catch fire. And she is able to come up with a 7-page document of all the solar farms that have caught fire and the strategies that they have used to damage or control the damage include a combination of fire containment strategies and safety measures, including fencing, suppression systems on site, and vegetation maintenance. So I'm happy to give you this document. It was too late in the evening, so we could not submit it, but we have a clean copy for you here.
Okay.
Thank you.
So based on that, just simple common man's Google search, if I can produce that, I don't understand how a fire chief or somebody that I'm supposed to respect and get guidance from in terms of fire safety can sign off on this project without having the fencing and some legal requirements of vegetation maintenance and a suppression system on site. Not that we have to wait for them to come. I don't want a response time. I want immediate action if this is happening in my backyard.
I just want to note, though, having talked to the deputy chief, they are requiring a vegetation plan, because that's an important part of that. And they are requiring an emergency response.
That is
guidelines.
not enough, with all due respect.
But I
An
just want to
emergency
I just want
response.
to clarify that he did say that. You said they did, they should
I
have.
heard you say you had spoken with the fire department.
I spoke with the deputy fire chief this afternoon.
I don't understand how this can be cleared. If I can Google and produce a 7-page document of all solar fields that have caught fire and the reason that they prevented the fire, what all the things that we have been asking for.
I don't want to speak for the deputy chief, but he,
Neither do I.
so I just know that, you know, certainly he's concerned about things happening, and they're.
I am
they
not hearing that he's concerned. I'm hearing this is clear from the fire department. Do I have any evidence that says that fire department is concerned about this?
Well, we have the fire department letter, so.
Letter says what?
I think, I don't want to read from it, but I think it's a copy that is public. He went through the comment of, we can give a copy of it to you if you want.
I would love to see a copy right now, because
That's a-
we are done going back and forth here. Can I see a copy, or you can read it for me?
Yeah, it's a public document.
What is it, what does the letter say, that this project is okay, like it's a fire-safe project?
Well, the letter that Jack read, which is a summary of, chief, I don't have that right in front of me, the summary of it. And again, I don't want to put the deputy fire chief in the middle of all this, because.
I have utmost respect for fire personnel. I am not here to say anything negative on their behalf. All I'm saying is, have truly the fire department understood the consequences of this project?
Okay, I have, this is an answer to what I sent them a long time ago, back Christmas. I said the access road, and I said packed gravel doesn't seem to cut it. He says, well, he doesn't have an issue because that's what's going around North Street. And he didn't have an issue with that. I said there's no access road around the exterior panels, and a 10-foot fire break was added, which provided access for their brush trucks. and he gave a international code, and he wants it maintained year-round, which I understand. The condition of no access road to have hay or grass would be an issue with snow and mud, but he doesn't seem to have an issue with that. What he's using, which I found a little bit different than I'm used to, is a brush truck. Are you familiar with a brush truck?
I am not.
Okay, think of a pickup truck, a four-wheel drive, that just goes zooming around. It's not the big pumper or ladder truck.
That is not enough with,
Yeah, well, they have a bigger one, but it's, yeah, I know. But we talked about one, he said they can go through it, so. They added a new hydrant, one was at the existing, one was later on. And we indicated that the neighbor on Walden was impacted, and the fire department acknowledges it, for all these concerns, and I indicated about the fires in California, and everybody's all upset about that, and he acknowledged that. The previous solar farms, North Street, South Street, Norfolk, Industrial Drive, all had regular grass mowing maintenance. Vegetation management plans and emergency response guidelines have to be submitted to them and the building department before they get a permit. And one of the things that Kearsarge had said, you can't put panel fires out, only contain it, and it's up to local fire department to figure out, which is not an answer. And what he's indicated, fires involving photovoltaic systems, including residential solar farms, are addressed in our policies and procedures. I don't know what they are, unfortunately.
so it sounds like they still have to submit the plan.
Yeah,
So until it is submitted, it has not been reviewed, and until it is reviewed, I don't think we can.
correct. It's
Yeah.
kind of like when you do, if you get approval for a building from us, you still got to do your building permit through the,
Correct.
and that's when they go into the the typical building stuff, sprinklers, fire alarms, exit signs, and all that. So that's, the process with the fire department doesn't end here.
Right.
It continues on after, when they apply for permits.
So I would urge the board to create some space in time for that fire plan to be submitted, for the fire department to truly understand and review what the response plan would be. Because once we say a yes from your side, it's a go, we will have nowhere else to go to bring all our concerns. Okay, I also heard you say that you have talked to the neighbors. We would love you to come to our neighborhood before you make a decision.
I did this morning.
Not ours.
You did not
Well,
come.
I talked to one neighbor.
I would love you to come to our neighborhood before you make a decision.
Yeah, I think you should note, though, that our board, we are bound by our bylaws and by state law. So there's certainly some things that, we may be concerned about, but they may not be things that we can consider in the decision. So it's easy to kind of say, why aren't you looking at this? Or, so again, we do have to follow our bylaws and state law.
I would
we do-
respect that. I respect that you follow your bylaws, but before your vote matters, what you say on this is going to change the lives and the living conditions of this neighborhood. So before we get your vote, we would love you to come to our neighborhood.
Yeah, well, I did this morning. I don't know if anybody else did, so I was there.
You went to 1 yard,
Once-
yard.
Easy.
Once again, we would love you to come to our neighborhood before you vote. Okay, now to follow to your comment, and I totally understand, you have certain things that you have to do. Just because we are emotional about this doesn't make that you can change based on our emotions. You have laws, you have rules, we all work with them every day. Okay, so I understand that. Here's what we would love. We would love for the height to be lowered. I don't care, honestly, it's come time where I have to watch my own back, and I don't actually care whether there is hay under or not. We have never seen students in this solar panel proposed property. We live and breathe in that space 24/7. We wake up in the morning, seeing the field, we go to bed, hearing the animals in the field.
So if it was lower, would you have less concern for fire then?
1 second.
Yeah.
We would like to lower the height. I do not care if they can grow hay or not. I do not care if that means the project gets canceled. I would love fencing. I would appreciate if we can do as much fencing as possible. And I would like to know exactly, if some of the neighbors don't mind disclosing where their property is, I am willing to disclose my house on whatever map, and I want to know exactly what is going to be placed in my backyard to prevent me from seeing this on a daily basis. I also want to make sure that before all of this goes through, that we get a chance to, one more time, look at the final plan. Because we say, and I know you're taking copious notes, but I don't have anywhere else to go with this unless I see a plan in approval that all of us have looked at before it gets approved. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right, next.
Maureen Briscoe, 8 Susan Drive. I'm going off of her fire aspect, as those were some of the things that I found. However, I'm wondering if Kearsarge can tell us about the Orange Solar Field fire in July of 2023, which happened in Orange, Mass. Or the Bourne Solar Farm fire that happened July 2024, that happened near the Cape Cod Aggregates gravel pit, which also was an issue. Or in Rhode Island, the Ashaway Solar Farm brush fire of April 2024, that was caused by a brush fire because there was hay and vegetation growing underneath. Or the East Greenwich Solar Farm fire of November 2021 that broke out and spread, and they needed multiple upon multiple towns to assist in extinguishing it. And also in Connecticut, the East Windsor Solar Facility fire of March of 2025, which also fire crews were able to get it out, but it struggled with preventing it from spreading. Or the Pomfret Solar Farm brush fire of February 2024, that an electrical issue sparked it and caused a multi-acre brush fire at a solar farm. Or in other ones, Cumberland Solar Farm, where a fire broke out there, and it was also an electrical fault fire. And it was contained, however, they had things in place. So I'm wondering if you have any input in all these fires that I was easily able to find.
I'm not familiar with any of the products.
So you haven't really looked into the fires that have occurred, even just within New England?
The local fire chiefs, something.
I understand that, but what I'm saying, my husband's a firefighter. He's mortified by this. And on top of it, as you said, your brush fire trucks, even the best of brush fire trucks, do not carry enough water to put anything out. It's a disgrace.
They have a hydrant, they got two.
Oh, 2, it doesn't put anything out.
Okay, I'm just,
I know, I'm just saying, like.
I know what you're saying. It's, but I'm-
My husband works in Boston. He's dealt with a million of them. They might contain it for a little bit. Your fire department's gonna be on call, and it's going to be detail men there for days. But these are just fires that I was able to find quickly an hour before this meeting. And I don't think, yes, I understand the fire department chief is saying yes. However, has he found this information? And we do know, as it's been said, they're not up to code. They don't know the information. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, one other question. Maybe Kearsarge can answer this. I have spoken to people at Norfolk AG, and the solar panels parking garage, I've been told are not connected to the school yet. Is that true?
It's connected. I mean, they're operating.
They're in use right now?
They have been for many years.
Oh, okay. But no one at the school seems to know that, because I was also told that they had to update all of their electrical aspect to connect. Okay. And once again, I would like information about all the planning that happened with those solar panels in the parking lot. Where can we get information about, like I know you brought it up, about
how did that not come to our attention as we,
Well, your best bet is to call the building department
Okay,
tomorrow.
perfect,
and
because-
ask them
yeah,
how this happened.
okay, I appreciate that.
'Cause we also had one across from Johnson,
Yeah,
same thing. We never saw it.
yeah, because in regards to when Kearsarge decided to send out their notices of where they are having meetings, they did it to the 400, the main address, and for a long time, we never got any notification. So, until we put up a fight when we found out. So when you're using, for us purposes, there's a lot of people that still probably don't have a clue. They use their front 1A address as the abutters for many, many years.
We'll
Thank
look
you.
at that. Because
Thank
what's
you.
supposed to happen is, when you get it from the assessor, he's supposed to do the whole area and where it's going to.
Yeah, and so what happened was, for a very long time, it was then, until we put up a fight, it only became the connected ones, abutters. Other than that,
Okay. Now, I would assume, I have no reason to doubt him, they go down to the assessors, say we're 400 Main Street. Whether if they got sent to you guys or not, it wouldn't have been them. He can only go what the assessor gave him.
yep, no,
Which-
and I understand that, but I guess my whole point to that is, if we didn't get it forever, and then we fought because we were abutters, there are a lot of other people that did not get them either.
Okay.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Hi, my name is Pete DePasca, 15 Beethoven Avenue. Like the gentleman before me who spoke says, I'm not an abutter, I'm a resident of Walpole, and this project concerns me. My comments tonight are a continuation of what I've said in the past, that this project is solely for financial reasons only, to the detriment of the neighborhood. There's no educational purposes that are involved here. Kearsarge says that there's no difference in the juice. In response to your question, is there a difference in the juice and what you would get from the elevated panels versus the ground level? And the answer is no, same amount. So why can't we do ground level panels, right, with a fence around it? Same amount of juice. What are the reasons? Well, why should they be elevated? Is it to grow a crop like hay, something that's such a low commodity, low value? I don't think so. Is it because the school needs it for the haunted hayride? Only something that only occurs a few days per year? I don't think so. The actual reason why why Kearsarge wants to build elevated solar panels is that the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources, DOER, provides an agricultural exemption in the context of the SMART program. That's the Solar Massachusetts Renewable Target. This exemption specifically is related to agricultural solar tariff generation units, ASTGUs, and that allows farmers to receive a higher payment for the electricity that they generate from solar panels on agricultural land. Right? This SMART program is intended to incentivize commercial farmers in agricultural areas to install solar panels on their property. It's not intended for school property in a residential area. Right? There is an exemption in this regulation that says, one of the requirements is that you must engage in commercial agriculture on this property. However, you can get a waiver for decreased yield if there's lack of rain or pests or for some reason. If your crops don't grow, you can apply for a waiver and still get those ASTGUs and get the higher revenue from the electricity if something doesn't grow. So they could build these panels. The hay can still not grow, and they'll still get the higher revenue from it. So I find it interesting that there's no one here from the school who's ever attended a Concom meeting, a select board meeting, a planning board meeting, and has spoken up in support of this project. It's because they don't care. So all I ask is that I'd be afraid if you approve this project as proposed. and then you see what's constructed, and you'll regret it. This is just a money grab at the expense of the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Question while you're still there. You said it needed commercial agricultural or something? Could you repeat that portion,
Right,
please?
commercial agriculture, according to the guidelines.
Okay, I'm not aware of anyone selling anything commercially for agricultural purposes there. It's a school, it's
So-
fine. They're not selling anything, they're
I would-
using anything on
yeah.
site. You'd think that way to,
I think, if I understand, and I've read this before, but I didn't realize about the panels, they've been trying to get farmers. I think what they're doing, John, is if you're a farmer, we'll give you more money for the juice,
yeah,
for a commercial farmer, but
there's no
Guess what?
commercial farmer here.
this is his state, this is his wacky green stuff. They're gonna give him whatever they want, and that's what I think, it's why it's happening. So, that's interesting. So, it's interesting what you just said, because we've kind of come full circle on why they went from here to here. Okay. I guess the question is, you've presented this, is, ask Kearsarge, is, do you guys, they get more bang for the buck by going up higher, being agricultural?
There's an incentive for agricultural arrays to offset the additional cost of building them at a higher level, because the
that's
cost of constructing them significantly more.
Okay. You know, took a lot of years, not a whole lot being around life, but it still is true. Follow the money. And that's what it comes down to. So if I understand it right is, okay, another question for you guys. When did this program come out for the incentivizing the farmers? Remember?
I couldn't tell you the precise year, off the top of my head.
Like 2 years, 3 years ago, 10? Okay. All right, anybody else have any questions, comments? So,
Let me say something.
all right, go ahead.
I'll go quick. And I'm not saying this, don't take this the wrong way, I'm not saying this to,
It's still early.
to say we're going for or against. I'm saying this to explain to you guys, because I know that the general public who comes before us doesn't grasp this, the way the town works. So a lot of the boards in town they can vote based on judgment. They can vote based on emotion or what they think is right or wrong. I quickly learned from sitting in this chair, and it's the most frustrating thing that I've ever had to do. We are bound so tightly by the rules and regulations. We do not vote based on what we just feel. And I think something was said about elected officials, and I want to say, I think that you really should, I think it's a good comment, and I'm not offended if you don't vote for me. But that being said, because it's not a rewarding job, I think you should think about other elected officials that are involved in this. So you vote for your county. And I think that is something that, if they're not listening to you or us or whoever it may be, and I'm not saying the people at the county are good, bad, or otherwise, I really don't know them, and I don't know enough about what they're doing, but it's a situation where I think it's important to vote. I think it's important to vote for every board in town. I think town government's important. So keep voting, but think about it when you vote for everything, because it is a situation where we vote, and we have voted against projects. I have sat here and voted because I did not agree, and they appeal it, which an appeal in essence is a suit. It goes to court, and I tell you, we just get slapped down, and it's frustrating. So I just want you to understand how it works, and I think that elected official comment was very valid, and it goes across the board for every vote you make. So whether it's here, whether it's county, whether it's state, think about it, because there's a higher power here. It's not us. So that's all. And like I said, that does not reflect how I will vote for this or won't vote for this, but I think it's important you know that.
Thank you for that. And I know I've some emails just kind of reiterating where I've been with this, and your comments, I totally agree with. I've written locally, I've written to the county, I've written to state officials, and most recently I wrote to the federal government on this project. I even reached out to the media because the SMART program we're paying for, if you look at your energy bills, the reason why they're going up is because we're funding these projects. And these projects we're funding to destroy our equity in our home. It's kind of ridiculous. I'm not sure where to go. I think the people here feel like this is our last hope, right? And it's nothing against the board. It just feels like this is our last hope, last stop. This, as I mentioned before, is the wrong project for the wrong location. And to his comments earlier about coming to the town for alternatives, we came back with a land swap. We came back with a farmer that would lease the property at the same value that Kearsarge would be paying the county. And we even offered to create a fund that would pay the lease payments to keep the land open and free. The county rejected all three. If that's not suspicious, I don't know what is. So, again, thank you for that.
You commented all on the investigation. Do you know any information on that?
So my understanding is, we talk about compliance, we talk about doing the right thing. There's been several violations that Kearsarge Energy and the county have been involved in this project. Prevailing wages, going out to bid for this project, not carrying a bond. There's some others that just off the top of my head I don't know. But that was all presented. That was presented to the governor, and it was presented to state officials to look at this. My understanding is that the DOER came back and said that that information was viable, and that it was viable for, to be investigated, and now is at the state auditor's department. There's an attorney involved. The attorney reached out on Monday, hasn't heard back yet on the status of that. But my fear is, with the big push in this state for green, that this investigation just may pend until this project's done. So that's why there's a lot of emphasis on local to help the residents of this town keep our identity and prevent a project like this from being built in a residential area. It's common sense. It's logic. We need logic with our representatives. Think logically. If this was your backyard, would you want this? Probably not. But the attitude that I get from reaching out to folks is that, well, it's not my backyard, so maybe I shouldn't respond, or maybe I don't respond to this. Last I checked, we lived in the United States of America. We the people. You're our representatives. You're our voice.
Well, wait,
You're our voice.
we're not represent,
You're an elected official.
we're elected official.
You're an
but we don't-
elected official
but we-
representing the
wait.
people of this town.
But we don't represent people, so, we have to follow the laws and the bylaws, so we can't.
But they don't?
But no, it's not even a question of that. I'm just saying that we may hear all of these very logical arguments, but we are bound, I think, as Katie said, by the bylaws and state law. So it's not like we don't really represent the citizens.
There's a transit project right now that's in our state, and I'm sure you guys have dealt with this. There are plenty of towns that have pushed back.
How about the MBTA law?
Right.
Yes.
There are plenty of towns that have pushed back.
Yeah.
Why aren't they complying?
So that's a different question, but why did
No.
they?
It's not a question. It's not a question, it's a statement. Why aren't they complying if you're bound to these bylaws?
They are, well, the Attorney General was going after those towns. That was but this is not germane to this.
But they're representing their people, and they're saying that those projects don't fit in that community. And we're asking for the same from you,
But
and
there was
all
a-
our elected officials in this town.
But the state passed a state law that doesn't give the always the allowing towns to do their own thing. Now, why did the state pass the MBTA law?
Yeah, and it
Because
went to
it-
court,
no,
and
because
what did the court say?
But wait a minute, because there's a shortage of housing in Massachusetts, which is why our children can't afford houses.
No.
Okay, let's, we're not, we're
No,
going
no,
way
no,
off,
no,
we're going way off, we're
No,
going way
no,
off.
no,
But-
no.
We're going way off, but.
You should have
Let's get
stayed
back,
on-
let's get back to the elected
Phil,
official piece.
one thing about, you're right about the MBTA, I agree 100%, but you know what's funny is, there's a guy in Washington they hate because he's holding up funds to all these different towns. I'll say it, Kate.
I know,
but
no.
Maura Healy said, I'm not
Let's
giving you
ride
any
on.
money
We
unless
need
you
to stay on
pass it, so
track, please.
end it, Phil.
Right.
And
And that's
she
the bottom-
started it first,
should
Phil.
end it.
Chairman,
though.
Mr.
No,
Chairman.
you started this, Phil, be quiet.
Mr. Chairman.
Wait, you can't
That's-
tell me to be quiet like
That's
that.
the bottom.
You jumped out of order, now I'm putting you back in order, sit there.
That's impolite, you should be.
What's
you should-
implied, Phil, is you have taken upon yourself rather than being recognized all night. Done.
Mr. Chairman, the bottom line is it's a financial situation.
Oh, I understand.
Towns will comply because they're afraid of losing funding.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Bottom line.
Yeah, I
Bottom
understand that. We gotta go through this, and one of the things
Thank you.
that gives us is we have to make sure it's safe, and we had a lot of issues here tonight for safety, and that's what our job is, so, unless there's
Just 10
something new.
seconds, just 10 seconds, Mr. Chair, just in
5,
response to
4, 3.
Ms. Turco. I would just say, the board here does have a large mandate, again, for the health, public safety, and interest and welfare of the residents of the town. You have a larger mandate that the fire chief doesn't. He's bound by the code. He may say, this is per code, I don't like it, but it's per the code. We're looking to you with this broader mandate to grant us relief. So I just, the attitude that's bothering me, that I've kind of heard over the meetings from some members is there's nothing we can do. You have a broad mandate here. I would also just refer to all the case law that Counsel for Kearsarge has sent to you. The case law still says, you know, you have the right to make reasonable regulations on these projects where it protects the public health, safety, and welfare of the public. And I would just like the board to keep those two facts in mind as they make their decision tonight.
All right,
Thank you.
all right, I think we killed it enough. Your turn. Now, you indicated you wanted to close it and do it. You still at that point?
Yes, Mr. Chair, to provide one additional piece of information based on something you asked for, we did look up the decibel level, and at the property line, it would be the level of a whisper. I don't have it in writing for
Just
you.
don't count. Because we need it on the public record.
I'm making an offer here in front of you.
I understand, but
Could you repeat? I don't know what the offer is.
That the decibel level at the property line would be about a whisper.
Would be about a whisper.
yeah, but
Otherwise, yes, we would still
is
request
that,
that the
okay,
board
but that's
close.
not part of your submission.
I'm offering it here in public session for you.
I understand, but we don't have something that someone from the public could look at later on to say, you won't be around to answer this.
That is correct.
You know what I don't like about these? Everybody takes the easy route and wants to do it right. Oh, here you go. I'm not like that. Do it right, do the paper, submit it the way it's supposed to be done. But if that's what you want to, that's what you're proposing, fine. I also have a few other things that I've asked for, meeting notes to show, or who was at these meetings, to say that who was for or against the, what do you call it, offense. You're gonna show me the approval, that's what I was looking for Mass. And the other one I've asked for, doing a business on public land, but, you know, it doesn't seem to want to come. What the biggest issue that has really just come out is the fact that we went from low to high, and for what other reason, other than dineros?
You have the proposal before you, Mr. Chairman.
I understand.
We've made a presentation, the town has.
But we were
voted-
told that this got approved and this is the only way it goes, but it actually, from what I understand, what we're told tonight, once they discovered more money, we went for the more money.
You have the proposal before you. If you'd like to condition on getting a copy of the DOER approval, I'm sure we can provide that. That's perfectly fine.
I'm not one to condition, because I don't trust anybody getting it, not, I'm saying, not trusting you, but a lot of things never make it, or I forgot, and we're on to something else, you know what I'm saying? So I've always been, give me it all in one spot, and then we don't have to go chasing.
I can certainly understand that.
But you still want it voted?
Yes, please.
You want to vote? John, what do you think? You want to vote it?
I think some issues have been brought up that I'd like to see the paperwork on, yeah.
Okay. Phil?
So you're asking us whether, there's no motion to vote right now?
No, I'm asking you, are you ready to
Ready to
vote?
vote.
We got it before we close it, because once you
Yeah.
close it, it's over.
Yeah, yes, absolutely, yeah, yeah. I mean, if they can get back and answer some of their questions, I think that might be good for the board.
Okay, Kate?
Yeah, I'd like
Okay.
everything answered.
So,
But just note that my term ends on May 20th. The last meeting will be 2 weeks from today. May 15th will be my last meeting.
And I believe we've only given an extension through the end of the month anyway, so
at the end of this month?
I believe so.
Okay, so I think you get the consensus is everybody wants to see more info, but you're not willing to go. So, it's a pretty easy one. We all want it, everything we've asked for, I don't feel is unreasonable. Be a hell of an appeal trying to get around that, because your appeal is through the zoning board, and it would have to be something specific, and all we're asking for additional information that was raised tonight, so.
What's the information
For
specifically,
someone
Chair?
unwilling to do it, it doesn't look good for an appeal.
What specifically is the information, Chair, that you're looking for?
All right, the decibel, like I said, I want it writing, just to close it, all right? Because as much as you think I'm picking on you, I like to have everything tight so that you get appealed on a technicality. Like, say we approved it and didn't have that decibel, someone could appeal you on that. You want everything in there, that's what I'm looking for. That, if you get either meeting notes or that list of the people who were there for that night, just to see who was there, your mass approval.
Sorry, I've already communicated on the issue of the public meetings. The reference was that we had gotten feedback from the community and that we'd answered in Q&A sessions.
But you,
that as a result
those
of
sign-in
the-
sheets, are you able to obtain the sign-in sheets?
I can't answer that, Chair,
Okay.
because I didn't run the meetings, the county ran the meetings.
Okay.
But,
So can you ask the county for them? See what you come up with?
what's the objective in
The
the
objective
sign-in sheets?
is it was stated that the neighbors didn't want it. So if I see neighbors on Walden Drive and Susan, I can say, hey, you. They're saying they weren't, that's all.
But at this point, do we have we have the plan in front of us. I think we need to decide it based on what it is.
Correct, we're proposing it without a fence.
Yeah, but you said the reason, but I didn't bring this up. You put it out there that the neighbors didn't, so now that becomes in play, at least in my mind.
Chair,
I didn't put it in play,
Chair,
you guys did, so.
I didn't put anything in play. I communicated the reason
Okay.
that we do not have a fence and have an agricultural array. One of the reasons was that feedback we got regarding closing off the field to use by the neighborhood. And that was in public meeting where there was
Okay, but it was said,
pushback on.
it said
sincere
neighbors,
fence.
but when they talk about the,
So was it neighbors or community?
the Halloween,
Well, the issue, I think, is, you're saying the neighbors said one thing. Everyone here whose neighbor has said the opposite.
I'm
So
happy
it's
for you.
kinda hard
I'm
to say this is
therefore
true
happy for
when
you to
everyone
strike
here
that
is saying
comment.
it's not true.
I'm happy for you to strike that comment then and consider it on its merit. The project will be per NEC code. The building and electrical department within town will confirm any requirements such as a fence from a safety standpoint. So that will be taken care of by town departments. And we proposed it without fencing after significant consultation with the community, and it has been proposed all along the way as an agricultural facility without fencing for years. And I was just providing context that a reason that we went in this direction was to ensure that there was continued use of the facility.
okay, now.
I won't withdraw that statement, that one of the reasons that we have got an agricultural array here that allows continued access for farming, continued access for cross-country and activities is because feedback that we received through a series of consultations, which may not have been the unanimous feedback of neighbours, but there was feedback about the reduced use and access of, to the field by people within the neighbourhood. So it may not have been a direct abutter, but but it was people that were at the meeting as concerned citizens who used the facility.
Since you didn't run the meeting, can you send us on an email where we can find it online or whatever?
I can provide you with access to the county website where the transcript of
the
It's on the website, the county
most
website?
recent meeting is actually
All
posted.
right, so all we gotta
and they
do,
posted.
any one of us, we just go to the county website.
Correct.
Okay, that's fair enough.
And I did reference that in prior meetings.
All right,
But the design as proposed is without a fence because it's an agricultural solar array.
And it is within the 15 feet, I think
And
that's.
within the 15 feet,
I mean, I was just looking at our own
Okay.
bylaws on,
I was looking and I couldn't find a reference to 15.
yeah, so it's in section 15, dot 9, dot C.
15 or
15,
13?
yeah, section 15,
Oh, that's right, it's a separate section, my mistake.
Yes.
Okay,
dot 9, dot C.
thank you.
I was giving particular attention to our own chapter on
but,
large-scale ground-mounted.
but we do have
Solar.
the ability to require fencing. That's within our purview.
Yeah, that we can probably do that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
I mean, that-
as I said in one of the previous meetings, and I referenced it over here at CVS, it's called an attractive nuisance, which it will be. So,
It's not Sharon's turn.
you like that, huh?
Now, I thought because it was so high, it would not be necessarily a nuisance.
Phil?
Yeah.
Phil, all right, that's your opinion. You
Yeah,
have
no, I'm just
three
asking
other
the
board
question.
members, and you also have the fact that a fence, but and it's a pretty lame excuse not to put a fence, because we're gonna have the Halloween. They have gates, I assume, but,
there's also just the operation of the field as a hayed field. And so we need to be able to get machinery around the arrays, and an allowance has been made to achieve that.
I wish you hadn't said that. So you know what you just told me? We can't get fire trucks around it.
Yeah.
We can't get a freaking guy mowing the lawn. How are we gonna get a fire truck around it?
No, you can as designed.
Yeah, but if you put a fence, you says you can't get farm machines. So that means we can't get any within the array itself.
It's to continue.
Okay.
it-
All right, that's
That,
fine.
that is not what I said, Chair. I did not say that you could not get machinery around, but the reason you do not have the fence is to allow them to continue with the farming in the way that they have been
You
carrying
said
out.
there'd be a problem getting it around. That's all. Okay. Now, this is what we
The
need.
design of the array, as approved by the DOER, without a fence, was designed to ensure that the farm machinery can circulate around with steering areas. It is a reason for not having the fence.
Yeah, okay, but good for them and good for their approval, but that doesn't mean anything to us, as you know. So, now, the other thing is, you're never gonna get it within the 2 weeks, because you got a little bit to do, so, and we have, when's our next meeting? In June?
Oh, in June? It will be
Yeah,
June now.
because you're not gonna make the May one.
Are they closing?
It's not.
Hmm?
They don't need a new plan, why couldn't they make them? Oh, 'cause
They got all this,
can't get
they're
it
gonna
in.
get all this stuff, plus they gotta get it all done too,
June 5th.
June 5th.
So what are we looking for, Jack, though? Can't they,
Chair, I'm struggling with regard to, this is the third meeting, and we have answered all questions that have been asked by departments. We have answered all questions that have been asked by the board. These issues were raised at the last meeting, and I'm struggling to understand what is the new information that will impact your decision as to whether or not this is a project that can be approved, because I don't see it. The design as proposed is without a fence. It is at 11 feet pivot point. It's an agricultural array. The departments have all given their blessing, and we've provided a tree screening, and we've gotten the arborist to confirm that he's in agreement with the type of tree. I'm just struggling to
Well,
understand the
I'll
materiality of the new information that you're looking for.
Rewind what we just said, well, 3 minutes ago, is the fact that we need something in writing on decibel level, we need something that,
What's the requirement from a decibel level, just so I'm clear? What is the requirement that we would have to meet?
all you'd have to do is show an engineering drawing that shows you the decimal level. It's no
But what is the
different than light.
requirement that we have
we
to
have no
fall within?
requirement in our.
I don't believe there's a requirement, so I'm trying to understand what difference it is going to make to your decision. What is the decibel level?
Because we have neighbors who are concerned about that.
And we've provided feedback that there's a 65 to 70 dBA level with equipment.
All right,
And
so-
it's limited
All
equipment.
right, and now I know where we're going.
It's
Before,
100 feet.
you got a cutoff date, and you can't go to June 5th. Why don't you just say that?
No, it's the fact that we have been back to the board now for the third time, answering all questions that have been asked, with the town departments answering all questions that have been asked. And we have a board that is going to be changing form and shape with a board member that hasn't sat through any of this testimony up until now, and an additional board member who has missed 2 meetings. And so I'm trying to understand how this gets decided in the context of that changed board. And so when we sat down at the last meeting, you asked for the extension and you proposed we go to this meeting. And it was on the understanding that we would get a decision tonight. And no new information has been, or questions have been raised that I believe would have a material bearing on your decision, based on the evidence we've provided.
Well, just,
I would tend to agree with that, actually.
okay, Phil, I have never, since I sat here, said we're gonna close it next time. Never said that. So if you get all your stuff in order and there's nothing else that comes up, then we could close it, if nothing else comes up.
So we have answered the noise question in the information that we provided you. We addressed that. There is no limit that you're asking us to hit, but we addressed the level of noise associated with the equipment, adjacent to the equipment, and that was the question that was asked. We also provided an estimate of the impact at the boundary.
All right, so-
we provided that feedback. I'm trying to understand the rest.
Can we just, you already know what you need to submit, right? You don't wanna do the decibel level, don't submit. Who cares, you know, it's gonna come down to that. But I haven't seen the approval from the UMass thing.
I don't understand the materiality
Okay,
of that
all
your
right.
decision.
All right. Every time I bring up something, you say you don't understand why.
No,
So
it's
if
been-
you want to vote right now, you know what's going to happen. Boom. I'll be honest. Boom. Go
Chair,
nowhere.
Chair, I'm just trying to fully explore the questions you have to see if we can answer them tonight. Because
But every question I've asked for additional information I get from you, you can't do, or you don't need it, or it's in here.
But we have provided the information in the past regarding the DOER program and the SMART program, and we have explained that this is an agricultural array. There has been research done by a member of the public here on that particular program, and he can probably communicate that there's a minimum height for the array to be built as an agricultural solar array.
But one thing come up tonight that never was raised before, and you guys never said it yourself, is this originally was going to be the low, and then you decided to go the high, and they get rid of the fence.
The original array set back in the woods when it was originally proposed, away from everyone, was a typical ground-mounted array.
Yeah.
And that was rejected by the community. It was moved to this hayfield.
Okay, but you indicated tonight, originally this was going to be the low, and then you decided to go to the higher one.
It was proposed as a ground-level array, and the concern was a loss of access to the field space, and we proposed to the county and to the school the option of the agricultural array, which would preserve the haying of the field, it would preserve the access to the field, and that was the basis for our design.
Okay. All right, so, let's get down to brass tacks. No, I'm done, we're done with them. This will spin forever, sorry.
I've been part of every meeting, and I can give more details.
Okay, but-
The woods versus the field versus the fence versus.
All I'm looking for the next time is more information. John started off. He'd like more information. Phil even agreed.
I'm good with that. I don't want to, I think we've been through this
Okay.
so many times.
All right, Kate wanted some more, but
Could I ask the information that you're requesting for your decision?
Everything that they were asking about. There were several things mentioned. Can you say them? You wrote them down, right?
Me?
Yep.
yeah, decibel level, one of the meeting,
The decibel
The
level of
meeting
the
minutes
machinery,
Yeah,
the
but-
equipment, we've provided that, it's in the response. It's in the response.
needed the approvals from UMass, whatever it said.
Can I understand the materiality of that approval? Because we still have to get a building permit, so we don't have that approval either, and you're not asking us to show that. there are many approvals required to do this. I'm trying to understand.
But you said you already got it, that's all.
We have the letter from the DOER, but I am trying to understand why you required.
Can you give us what you have? I'm doing this for these people want to know. We're going to flush out the whole thing, that's all. I don't think I'm being unreasonable.
But I'm struggling to understand how it affects your decision, whether or not, it is a timing issue in that we want to get a decision tonight. And so you request that we provide more information. Currently, each meeting we come to, there is another piece of information that's requested that is not actually material to your decision-making. It may be of interest to the public, but it's not material to your decision-making. So we're trying to understand why you need to see the letter from the DOER. And if you would...
This is why we have public meetings, things come up new and new and new, and this is
But
why
you're-
we ask
but
for it.
as a
And what-
board-
And it's very simple, I've been lambasted over the years, why did you bring it up now? Well, this is what I make on this, and I'm not clairvoyant, this is a process, so if this is what we think we need, this is what we need. I mean, like I said, I've been on your end, to give me a couple pieces of paper and you shut me up, here you go. But it appears that there must be some inane or back reason you don't want to give what I've asked for, that's all.
Can you explain what the approval process is at the next meeting then, if we have one member that has not attended the meetings and a new member that has not been on the board?
It'll be a 3-0.
Is Mullen Rule 2 or 1?
One. Well, can we facilitate them giving everything at the next meeting?
We have, Phil, we have a 14-day that's been in for 25 years, and that's what we've gone by, so if we go outside that'd be,
I can provide you with the letter tonight, which would be 14 days, I believe, before the next.
but you got a few other things that I've asked for that you can't, if you walked out of here tonight, you'd make the 14 days. I don't have, we're not gonna do that, but what you don't want is if we took it afterwards and did it 14 days from now, and you didn't get it until for 10 days, there's an easy appeal. Now, the zoning board they only can rule on specific things, height of fence, or whatever. They can't rule on rules like you did it. So that's really your protection too. So I'm just trying to explain, if you walked out of here, that'd be great, but
So you're saying that if we provide you with the information today, that would provide you with the
what we
notice
asked
and
for, if you had it before it gets walked out of here, given right up here tonight.
Before midnight, right?
and I could provide that to Kate through email, because I can send it.
Yeah.
So you're looking for the
If it's just an approval letter,
the
that's
note
fine.
from the DOER stating that our predetermination has been approved?
Just wanted to find out that, just something that shows a decibel level or whatever you pulled it off of,
Well, we have provided that to you, correct?
okay?
But I just want to confirm that we've provided that in the letter that was received.
Okay.
What is the additional information that's needed?
On the decibel level,
Yes.
is it a stamp by a professional engineer?
That wasn't requested.
Okay.
It's not required in the bylaw.
What, the decibel level?
Or stamped by an engineer with
Well, I think we do require a professional engineer when you submit. So it-
site plan, not
But-
with respect to the decibel level.
Well, that's all part of it. Okay, let me ask you this question. We had lighting plan. Does that have to be stamped?
There is no lighting plan.
No, I said if we had one of the building.
But your bylaw addresses lighting. And there is no lighting on this.
So, but you're gonna present, okay. You wanna do it like that, fine. If hate this, that'd be one of my appeals. Who did this? Some guy in his basement? That's all I'm saying. I am a very systematic person. And to me, if I had a stamp on it, but if you wanna submit it and say that's it, that's fine, I don't care. You just gotta understand, you're given a lot of little tidbits.
What's the standard we're looking to meet with the engineered stamp on the noise level? I don't believe there is a standard that you require us to meet, so I'm not understanding why you require that to make a decision.
Well, what happened is it was brought up by one of the abutters. So down the road, if we had that, and all of a sudden it's loud as hell out there and they have a plan, or
There are noise ordinances, though, in the town that would address that.
Or, as simple as this, if a butter says it's way too noisy, you go out and measure it, this is what you submitted, you're under your measurements, there's no problem with you guys.
There is an ordinance in town that would cover that. There is a noise ordinance that would address that. We don't, it doesn't need to be agreed in this meeting. And
All right, and just for the record, send us the website.
the website with the history of
Yeah,
the
wherever it is, yeah, just,
work done.
yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Was there anything else I thought, did we need it?
I don't think we need these, but this I want. I want that, I want that, I want that.
Okay, we'll do that next time. Now, one other question, since you're gonna submit it and you want it done. You're the applicant, correct?
Correct.
Do we have anybody from the ownership here?
Well, we are the owners of the array.
No. All right. We're having fun tonight. I want someone here from Norfolk County next week, the next time. That's all. I want somebody from the ownership group.
I mean, we can communicate that, but we can't guarantee it, Mr. Chairman.
Well, what that tells me is you're not making it very nice for me to go, hey, this is great, because they have no, the kids have gone to bed, but to show up.
I understand that, but we don't control the county.
I know you don't, and you're taking a beating. All right, maybe you like this, I don't know, maybe you've done this a lot, I'm not being wise, but you're taking a beating for something that you don't control. So, I think these people, my opinion, deserve to see the county, whoever's in charge, or somebody from the county here, so they can lay it out to them, because guess what? You guys go off on another venture, the county's still gonna be here, so that's, I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to ask.
We'll certainly communicate it as well as the concerns.
And the representatives have been here at the prior two meetings.
Yeah, and can you do us a favor? You don't have to submit within the 14 days, is send a letter, email off to them and copy us, so that we know you asked them, that's all. Okay.
We can confirm that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's a lot of fight here on both sides, but you guys don't control part of it, do you know what I mean? It's a three-party fight, so, and that way these people get to convey their issues with the county. Because I know myself, I've seen people like you, meaning come in to represent somebody, and the owner isn't here, and then one day he shows up, and he says, all right, yeah, we'll do this. And you know what I mean? It shows, right now, the Aggie, and I've been here all my life, has this to Walpole. And that's the way they've always been, and they're showing it right now by not being here or somebody to that representative, so that the residents get to see. So someday if it goes and you guys said it was gonna work or whatever and it doesn't, they have a name and a face that they can, I think that's fair, because they showed up. You would think the guy gonna benefit most, the team or whatever, should be here.
The school. This is, helping the school, but nobody from the school's ever been here.
No, nobody from the school or the county, well.
Well, the county's been here, but I'm saying the school.
Billy Buckley doesn't count. We don't even know what what he is in the county. Other than he only has to drive a mile, so they probably pulled straws and say, Billy, you're closest. You gotta go, so.
So Jack, I think we should go through again exactly what we're asking for to make sure it's very clear, because it's not clear to me right now.
Well, he said he sent, submit the DB level, he's gonna send us the copy of the,
But not a engineered.
Right.
no, he said, no, that's fine, you can run with that. To me, that's not one to deny, but it's also one you gotta be, from their end. He's gonna give us the website and all this, we can see it, and he was going to give us the letter, or whatever. I know it's maybe not a decision from UMass. I think that's what we've asked for.
So I can provide the notice of our predetermination approval tonight, and I can also provide the website address for the county website.
Yeah. So after the meeting, by the time we walk upstairs, we'll be there.
And Mr. Chair.
What?
Yeah, so considering that we're not really getting a whole new plan, which is why we often require the 2 weeks, can't we give a little leeway on, letting them get the material to us since the board is changing, so there's gonna be it's just accommodating the applicant in a little bit way.
Phil, I've always done it. 1 and 1 is 2 with me. There is no 1 and 1 is, whatever we want to do it, or whatever we want to help people. They know the rules coming in, you gotta go by the rules, because if you don't, you bend it for them, there's a lot of people out there that could appeal it. I've told them for this, so we've asked them, so if they get it to us tonight, they've fulfilled their thing.
But there is some argument to be made that,
He says he's gonna do it, so there shouldn't be an issue.
okay,
He says he's gonna email it tonight.
I just wanna make sure.
I'm trying to understand the sequence of events here. So we're the only hearing tonight.
Correct.
Yes.
So if you close, then I'm just trying to understand how we present this to you.
If we close the hearing, then that's the end.
No,
There's
no.
no more.
Sorry, if you close the meeting.
Close the
So
meeting.
I just want to, because I understand regarding the 14 days, but are we saying that we can be put on the agenda for the
If you-
15th if we can email you the letter?
We'll have this tentative that it's all received by us tonight, that's all.
Okay, tonight by what time?
Midnight.
Before tomorrow.
Okay. No, that's fine. No. I'm
It gives him
not
a
trying to be
number.
facetious.
No, I know, you just sit there with your iPad in your car, or go down to the bar and have a
Okay.
few, and hopefully you get the right
And-
email address, and,
To Kate?
Yeah.
Just email to Kate.
yeah, send it right to us, and then it's considered submitted, that's all.
Okay.
We're not here, we just want it, that's for your protection, because we've done that in the past, because everybody who had in the past, they want to be in the next meeting, and they don't give us something till the day before, and that meeting just goes, and that's always done it, because it always jumps you to the following meeting, which everybody seems to be able to get their stuff together, so.
So, assuming we can get that in tonight through Kate to the 15th, it will be this board voting
Yeah.
because that gentleman has now missed 2, I believe.
I believe so,
Okay.
yeah.
Jim?
The ghost over there.
I defer to you.
Okay, so if you do that, and then we can, it should be there, so, and if you want, you're gonna have to hold till next time, unless you, okay, we just keep spinning here, so they gotta get us. I do appreciate all the info we got, and that's one of the reasons we're here to do it. And we will send this along to the fire department for their comments on this, whether it comes to this back or not, but given the fact that, we received it, it does have some info on it, and it,
Yeah, I definitely.
whether
See
the
that.
fire chief or deputy chief says anything to us on this, he says, fine, but when they go for the permit, this may be something. But for us to hold it, no, we'll go give it to them and let them see.
Completely fair, and I mean, obviously, like.
Yeah, they're not underfoot.
There's other processes
Yeah.
that still need to be gone through before the project breaks ground.
Correct, he's given his thing, but here's something to say, and if he comes back and says, oh, okay, I'll deal with that fine. But at least we owe it to the people here to give it to them, for him to review.
It is part of the
Okay.
public hearing, so.
So, who we gonna get from, we gonna get anybody from Quincy? They don't even know where Walpole is.
We'll request it.
Anybody from Milton? They don't even know where we are, do they?
Now, Jack, if no one comes, are we gonna say
just ask.
we're not gonna vote on it then?
I'll give one of those wonderful speeches, how much I love the Aggie, because I own a condo up there, and they used to sit on my baseball field saying it was theirs, and they kicked me off it, and I said, no. And not had a great life with the Aggie up there, but if they don't show, Phil, it just shows you the disdain for this town. They're like carpetbaggers coming in from Quincy and Milton, putting this up and going.
I
I
have
know you're
one,
working for me, I know you can't say anything, so I'm not,
I don't represent.
oh, you don't represent the,
this guy.
oh. But
I have one
oh,
question, if you could, oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
John. I was looking at the trees here, and I didn't see a spacing or whatever. Could you tell me what the spacing is on the trees on the border there?
10 feet.
10 feet?
Yeah, it's staggered, so 10 feet between trees, so in between them is actually less than 10 feet.
Okay, because of the angle, yeah, because I know in the buffer requirements, it's not quite a buffer, they're talking 7 feet or something, so anything closer to that number would be better, yeah. Thank you.
All right, now, we have,
Can I just ask you one quick question? What is the best way for me to share some videos with you
send it to,
from the previous meetings?
yeah, send it to our office.
Because you can't find them on here, there's only notes, there's no videos.
Yeah, there are no videos.
Okay, if
from
you
the-
have them, like I
from
said,
the-
send them to Kate at the planning board office, to her email, and then she can send them to us.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you. All right, what do we got for, oh, we're too full next time?
Don't say that.
Come on, I gotta get them a
7:10 we have South
little.
710 is South Street, 715 is 3 Heidi.
South Street? Oh, that's Dan, that's easy. And then Heidi? Oh. All right, we'll have to do it after Heidi, because he was up next, so 7:15, so what would it be?
720?
7:20. All right, we continues to the 15th of May at 7:20, and just so everybody knows, we do that because chances are going at 7:20, if the others go, not necessarily, but we're people, we sit here like looking at the sky because the 7:10 didn't show up and we can't start you till 7:20. Just so everybody understands, it's not gonna go 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, it's just for us to keep it in line, so.
And it's just those 4 things that we're looking for.
Well, that he's gonna send to us, yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
And one is the county official.
Now, do we need an extension, or is this?
no,
the-
we're good to what, end of April, right?
So if
Oh, end of
you
May.
Okay, so we're good, just a continuance, then,
the
okay.
website, the DOER note, and then with regard to the noise, do you require us to resubmit what we've provided, or is that?
It's up to you. Ask, no,
Are we
are
looking
you
for
gonna get
more?
that letter? You're not gonna give us a website for UMass, whatever it is.
No, we can provide you with
That's
the
what we're looking
predetermination
for,
of
yeah.
saying it's
We're not
within-
digging, the only website we need is the counties for this whole deal.
Right, so that, what would be, I just, what, is there a fourth?
Hmm?
I think it was just requesting that the county appear. and
Oh,
letting
just
them know
request
that
that
we
the
made
county
that
appear,
request.
okay, sure.
And are
Yeah,
we
we're looking at the website to see the comments from previous meetings, basically, yeah.
Correct.
And are we looking for more than the decibel level than they already provided?
Well, they were looking for a
keep
noise
telling
level
us-
at the edge of the project.
Yeah, they keep saying, if they wanna do it, they wanna do it. All I'm saying, Phil, is if it was me sitting there and I've been a development hand, you give them everything so that someone can appeal. Because they will appeal, and guess what? They may not win on a decibel level, but they certainly can tie you up for a while. Right? When you get appealed, those things can. So, give them more. More is better. What?
Comments. She wants to-
I gave you previously.
Yeah, okay. All right, with that being said, see everybody here back in 2 weeks at 7:20. Okay?
Thanks so much.
And if you have anything you want to submit, just send it to us ahead of time. That way we can see it ahead of time. Just send it to Kate's email address. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
These are all my comments. Oh, this is theirs thing too. And Kate, can you send this to the chief?
These are the specific places that had fires recently.
Thank you, Mrs. Briscoe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The recent places that had fires recently,
yeah, definitely.
and this. This goes with that. That's the fire stuff, right?
These go together?
Is that the, I don't have my
Two
glasses
separate
on. I
sources,
took
I
my
think.
glasses off, so.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Kate, can you send us the photographs too then? Yeah, they sent.
Yeah, we didn't have those. We didn't have those.
The attachments, no, all we had was the notes. We didn't have the pictures or anything, and what I
All
got.
the pictures?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I just saw, remember I said that first
Yeah,
one?
you did. I'll have to look.
I'll forward the email to you for the next hour or so.
Yep.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
We all done? Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, are we done?
Yeah, there's nothing left.
I thought there was one other thing.
We did it.
We signed in Portland Way and the trees, and that was it. So, and we had no meeting, so, all right. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.